in the world, and the dollar lost something like 30% in one night, which means that the organizing committee lost in one night 30% of its revenue. So you can imagine that it is very important to be protected against this currency fluctuation. And for the bank, in the interest rates is the same thing. For example, in Albertville in 1982, we have a sponsor bond at the level of the bid committee, which gave to the organizing committee, to the COJO d'Albertville, very good rates. But at the end, when Albertville was selected, they decided to choose another banker. And the new one give rates much higher, 3%, higher than the first one. And the price of this small mistake, which is not really a mistake, but it is a commercial negotiation or agreement, this mistake cost around 20 million euro only in interest rates. The strategic risk quadrant is essentially reputation damages and problem arising from press relations. Another example, I used to work for Mega Expo in Switzerland, which was, the name of this expo was Expo 01. And because of the problems they have with the press, in the media, the TV, every day, they were not able to organize the event because they were fighting every day instead to organize the event. And they decided to postpone the event of 1 year. So instead of Expo 01, it was Expo 02. Just only for problem of reputation. And also breach of contract. Could you imagine if the contract between the IOC and the city which hosts the games will be cancelled? What happened? It's an incredible loss for the organizing committee. So we have to analyze of this type of risk. And the operational quadrant of risk represent, which is something more very easy to understand, like IT system failure, problem of transportation. Remember that in Atlanta 1996, we had around 2,000 buses, and the majority of them were staying in the garage because they had a lot of car crash. So it's a very big risk, because if we are not able to transport the public or the athletes to the stadium, it's very important because you have to cancel the game or to cancel the event. Hazard and force majeure risk quadrant are traditional, in particular for those who speak about insurance, terrorism, war, strike, boycott, fire and explosion, and natural disaster. And the weather, in particular for the event which takes place in winter, the weather is very important. Remember that, as Carmen told, we have problems with the snow, too much snow, not enough snow, too much rain, too much wind, so we have an incredible number of risks only for the weather, in particular for the winter games. The risk identification, as I told you before, is we use a risk matrix for quantification of each functional area. We have in our risk matrix around 5,000 risks which were created during the last 20 years, working for almost 100 different events, like the Olympics, but also like the World Cup or the FISU Games and so on. So we have to find solution for each risk, and we have also to control permanently and to check the impact of the loss mitigation measures. This is a long process, as I told you. For Beijing it was more than 3 years. For Vancouver it is more than 4 years. We began to work at the end of 2005, and the games take place in 2010. Just to show you what we call the operational readiness. The beginning of the operational readiness is the analysis of strategic and operational risk, which means that I'll give you the example of Beijing. In Beijing, after the analysis of each functional area, we found 700 risks, between 7 and 800, but only 10% of them were part of the strategic analysis of the operational risk. So we have to work only on 75 risks. We made an impact analysis of each risk, and after that, when we finish our job internally, we prepare what we call tabletop and simulation, which are exercised in front of the organizing committee. We took small teams of each functional area and we discussed with this team, giving them a lot of scenario, very, very bad scenario, worse and worse scenario, in order to understand how this team reacts in case of problems. After that, we have what we call the test event, in particular for the Olympics. So we have some large event which take place 1 year or 10 months before the event itself. And after this testing, we made another tabletop and simulation exercise, just in order to know if the lessons from the testing are well, how I can say that, well improved. And something like 3 months before the games or before the event, we have a general rehearsal, which is a big party with something in Beijing. It was a big party with 600 people, sorry. And it was also a sort of scenario, but not only with small team, but with a very, very big team, as I told you, 500 or 600 people. So the operational readiness is 4 phases, which are risk assessment, contingency plan. Contingency plan means the response to each risk, tabletop and simulation, and general rehearsal. I show you what we call the risk register. I don't know if you are able to read what it is written. On the first column, you have the functional area. In this case, is accommodation. You have the 3 notes, frequency and impact. So the 2 notes, sorry, frequency and impact. 3 by 5 is 15, so it's not a good risk. Here you find the person in charge of the risk within the organizing committee. This example is coming from Torwalk, which is Turin 2006. So this person is in charge of the risk. It is a person within the organization. And we have also the other functional area which are connected with accommodation and which are also linked with the risk we developed here. So, as I told you, for Beijing, it was a job, we have done this job between 700 and 750 different risks. The risk assessment is identification, and also it is an analysis of financial and technical impact of each risk. It's very important to show to the organizing committee that this risk is not with us for fun. It is really could be a big problem, and we have to make a real technical impact analysis and financial analysis in order to explain to the organizing committee what is the real impact of the risk. And we have to find a solution in order to avoid that the risk take place. The contingency planning is to compile a list of major incident or accident, and for each project we have to create a team to develop a contingency plan, which is response to the risk. We have also, in this case, to analyze the role of the main operation center. You know that in all events like the Universiade or like the Olympics, you have a main operation center who is the center of the operation, and who is the person who are able to take decision when it is necessary to take a decision. And we have to test how the main operation center, the MOC, is able to respond in case of a problem. And we have to test the efficiency of each plan. Tabletop and simulation is a very important phase of our job, because it's important to train the team on real case studies. What is important in this slide, je pense que je vais pas y arriver. What is important on this slide is the green part. 80% of the risk of interruption of an event is due to normal situation, and only 20% of the risk of interruption is due to real crisis situation. So the training on real case is really very important, in particular for the risk of interruption on normal situation. And we gave to all the functional area teams, we gave example, we gave scenario, and we wait the answer until we obtain the right answer. The general rehearsal is the only group in which we have the possibility to have the people from internal side, which means from the organizing committee, and people from the external side. So it means police, fire brigade, army, emergency services, medical people outside of the organizing committee. And it's also, during the general rehearsal, the only moment where we can test the reaction of the main operation center in case of fraud. So we are able to check the command chain, and to have the true reality in case of problem. So this slide is just to show you in one slide everything we have to do in terms of risk management, from the risk identification to the event continuity plan, including insurance, but this is another story. Another part of the risk management is the contract analysis and review, what we call the legal risk. And to give you an example, in Atlanta 1996, the organizing committee signed 7,000 contracts. 7,000 contracts. All these contracts were analyzed before they were signed, and it was a long job. 2% of my team were working full time, 2 years only to analyze the contract on a on the liability standpoint and the insurance standpoint. The contracts were not written by my team; it was written by the lawyer. But just to check the insurance problem and the liability problem, it was necessary 2 people full time during 5 years. And it's very important in the contract analysis to fix a clear and fair sharing of the liabilities between the organizing committee on one side and the contractor on the other side. And this includes a comprehensive risk review in the contract management process. It's also important to make this contract review, this contract analysis, in order to establish minimum standard of insurance. When you sign with the contractor, you have to know that it is responsible for his job, but also you have to know how he is insured, and you have to correct if it is not correctly insured. It's very important in the contract management process to have a very clear and very good link